Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into the dollar blueprint, mastering your money. It's like we've got our own personal financial architect ready to help us create a custom plan.
It's true. I think a lot of people, uh, when they hear the word finances or personal finance, they get a little overwhelmed.
Oh, absolutely. I'm right there with you. But you know what I like about this book is it really focuses on actionable strategies you can use to make your money work for you, not against you.
Definitely. That's something this book does really well, I think. It goes beyond the typical spend less advice that we always hear.
Yeah, and I can't wait to dig into this 50-30-20 rule we always hear about. Is it really the secret to budgeting? I'm not sure.
Yeah, we can definitely unpack that and see, if it lives up to the hype.
And we'll tackle investing too. I think a lot of people think investing is just for Wall Street, the experts. But this book makes it seem pretty accessible even for beginners.
Yeah. It's refreshing to see a resource that focuses on making investing approachable. I think a lot of people get intimidated by that.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so the book starts with building a solid foundation, which makes sense, right? And that means budgeting, I guess. But um I gotta say, I don't always love that word budget. It makes me think about restrictions. Like I can't do this and I can't do that.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I think the word budget definitely has some negative connotations for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But you know what I think is really cool about the dollar blueprint is that it frames budgeting as a way to actually gain more control. It's not about losing control or missing out.
Okay, yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, it's about moving from that feeling of where did all my money go
Yeah.
to I'm actually the one in charge here and I'm directing my money towards the things that are important to me.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. So how does this blueprint actually approach budgeting?
Well, it lays out 4 steps.
Mhm.
And one of the things I really appreciate about it is that it emphasizes that even small changes can have a ripple effect on your finances.
Okay, so it's not like I have to overhaul my entire life right away.
It's exactly. It's about, making those gradual adjustments that could really add up over time.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes me feel better. So like what kind of small changes are we talking about?
Well, even something as simple as, that daily coffee you mentioned. Let's say you spend $5 every day on coffee. Well, if you were to put that $5 into a savings account,
Mm-hmm.
instead you're looking at like $1,825 over a year.
Wow. You're right. That puts it into perspective. Suddenly cutting back doesn't feel so bad if it means getting closer to a goal, like that trip I've been wanting to take forever.
Right.
Okay, so tracking is the first step. What's next? Do we have to like categorize every single purchase we make? I mean, come on.
Well, yeah, categorization is actually really important. You've got
Yeah.
your housing, your transportation, groceries, entertainment, all the usual suspects.
Mm.
But here's where it gets interesting. The book gives an example of someone who thought they were pretty good with money. But when they actually started categorizing their spending, they realized they were spending a ton of money on online shopping
Yeah.
just because it was all lumped into that like miscellaneous category. So, seeing that breakdown can be really eye-opening.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can definitely see how that could reveal some surprising habits,
Mhm.
maybe some things you weren't even aware of.
Right.
Okay, so we're categorizing what's next.
So the next step is about setting realistic goals for each of those categories.
Mm.
And this is where the 50-30-20 rule comes in.
Okay, here we go.
50% of your income for use first, 30% for wants, and then 20% for savings and debt repayment.
That's the one everybody talks about, but is it really realistic for everyone? I mean, everybody's situation is different.
And that's the beauty of it is it's more of a guideline, not like a rigid rule. You can adjust those percentages to fit your own personal circumstances and goals.
Oh, okay, okay.
The key is to be intentional about where your money's going. So it's less about hitting specific numbers and more about just having a conscious plan,
Hmm.
you know.
That makes it seem less intimidating for sure. So what's the final step in the budgeting process?
The final step is all about reviewing and adjusting because light happens.
Oh, yeah.
Your income might change, your expenses go up and down, you might discover new goals that you want to work towards. So this blueprint isn't about just setting it and forgetting it. It's about adapting as you go along.
Right. Makes sense. So we've built our budget. It's like the architectural plan for our financial house, right? Like you were saying earlier. But what about that solid foundation? That's where saving comes in.
Exactly. That's what we're going to talk about next. We wouldn't build a house on shaky ground, right?
Right.
And the same goes for our finances. That foundation is our savings. And the first essential part of that is an emergency fund. You got it. And that emergency fund, it's the first brick you lay down right.
I hear that term thrown around all the time, emergency fund, but I'll be honest. The thought of like saving 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses is kind of scary. Like, where do you even begin?
I know it can seem like a really daunting goal, but the cool thing is this book, The Dollar Blueprint, it breaks it down into these smaller steps you can take so you don't feel like you're drowning,
Oh,
you know?
okay, that's good.
Yeah, like even if you just start with like $500,
Okay.
that can give you a sense of security. Like,
Hmm.
okay, I've got this, and then you can start building from there.
So it's more about the habit than the amount at first.
Exactly. The small, consistent action over time, they make a huge difference, especially when you start to factor in things like compound interest.
Okay, now that's another term I hear a lot, compound interest. It's like your interest is earning interest, right? But I never really understood how that works in real life.
So imagine this. Okay, you plant a tree, year it grows a little bit taller,
Uh-huh.
but then those new branches, they start to grow their own leaves and branches,
Oh.
right?
Oh, I see.
And it creates this like exponential growth. That's kind of what compound interest is like. Even small amounts, if they're invested consistently over time, can grow significantly.
Okay, that's a good visual. I get it now.
Okay.
Okay, but what about those of us who aren't like natural savers? You know, how do we stay motivated?
Well, the book recommends that you set specific savings goals, and they should be things that actually excite you.
Oh, okay.
So it could be that dream vacation you've always wanted to take,
Uh,
could be a down payment on a house, maybe even just something smaller like a new phone or a gadget.
okay.
But having a clear goal in mind makes the whole saving process a lot more fun and rewarding.
Yeah, definitely. I'm way more likely to stick with something if I can actually picture, the end result.
Right. Okay, so we've covered budgeting, which is kind of like setting up the structure, and saving, which is that solid foundation we talked about.
Right.
But now let's talk about how we can actually make this money really work for us. And that's where investing comes in, right?
Ooh, investing. It can seem kind of scary though, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think a lot of people feel intimidated by investing.
Yeah.
But this book, it demystifies it and makes it seem a lot
Yeah.
more manageable. It emphasizes that investing isn't just for, Wall Street. It's for everyone.
Okay. I like
Yeah.
that. But there's so many options out there, right? Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETF. It's a lot.
It is, yeah. And the book does a really good job of breaking down those different options, explaining the pros and cons of each. But before you jump into anything, it stresses the importance of starting with that solid foundation we talked about.
Okay.
So, having your emergency fund in place, managing any high interest debt that you might have, and then you can start exploring those different investment options.
Okay. So get your financial house in order before you start building on that investment wing.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay. So for someone who's brand new to investing, where's a good place to start?
Well, the book recommends starting with something that's a little bit more beginner friendly, like index funds or ETFs. Have you heard of those before?
I have, but I'm not totally sure what they are. Could you break those down for us?
Yeah, sure. So an index fund is like this basket of stocks that tracks a specific market index,
Mm-hmm.
like the S&P 500, for example.
Mm.
So instead of trying to pick individual stocks, which,
Yeah.
let's be real, it can be really risky.
Yeah.
You're basically investing in a slice of the entire market.
Oh, so it's like built-in diversification.
Yeah, exactly. And ETFs, or exchange traded funds, those are similar to index funds in that they offer that instant diversification.
Yeah.
But they're traded on stock exchanges just like individual stocks, so they're really easy to buy and sell.
Okay, that sounds a lot less intimidating than me trying to figure out,
Yeah.
which stocks are going to be winners.
Yeah.
But what about timing the market? Isn't that like important?
So a lot of people think that, but it's actually a really common misconception. Even like seasoned professionals, they have a hard time timing the market consistently.
Oh, wow. Rare.
Yeah. This book actually advocates for something called dollar cost averaging,
Mm,
which I think is a brilliant strategy.
okay. I've heard that term before, but could you explain how it works?
Sure. So basically, instead of trying to predict the best time to buy, like when the market's low or whatever, you invest a fixed amount at regular intervals. So it could be every week, every month, whatever works for you. And you do this regardless of whether the market is up or down.
Oh, okay.
So let's say you decide to invest $100 every month. Some months, those shares are going to be cheaper. Some months, they're going to be more expensive.
Hmm.
But over time, it averages out your purchase price, which reduces your risk.
So it's like you're taking advantage of the dips without having to stress about, catching them perfectly.
Exactly. It's a really disciplined approach that removes a lot of the emotion from investing.
Oh, I like that. So it really ties back to that long-term perspective that this book is all about, right?
Right? It's not about getting rich quick. It's about building wealth steadily over time.
Okay. Yeah.
The book uses a great analogy. It says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is now.
I like that.
And it's the same with investing.
Hmm.
The sooner you start, the more time your money has to grow.
So it's never too late to start planting those financial seeds.
Exactly.
But okay, I'm just thinking for someone who is just beginning their investing journey, there's still a lot to take in. So are there any like resources or tips that can make it feel a little less overwhelming?
Yeah, for sure. The book actually highlights the importance of taking advantage of employer-sponsored 401k plans, especially if your employer offers a match.
Oh yeah, that's like free money, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
They're contributing to your retirement savings based on how much you're putting in.
Exactly. So it's a great way to boost your savings and get a head start on your retirement planning.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got budgeting, saving, investing, the three pillars of our dollar blueprint. But I'm wondering, how do we actually put all of this together into a personalized plan? Something that works for us. So we've covered a lot of ground, budgeting, saving, investing, all the nuts and bolts. But I'm starting to realize this dollar blueprint, it's about more than just the mechanics of money, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think the book does a really good job of highlighting the importance of your mindset when it comes to money.
Yeah, I can see that. It seems like our mindset can really make or break our financial progress.
Definitely. I mean, if you're constantly stressed or anxious about money, you're more likely to make impulsive decisions that might not be in your best interest.
Yeah, that's so true. I've definitely been there.
And the book talks about shifting your perspective from one of scarcity to one of abundance. So like focusing on what you have rather than what you lack,
Okay.
and using money as a tool to create the life you want rather than seeing it as something that's holding you back.
I like that. So it's about moving away from that feeling of like constantly chasing the next dollar and instead feeling more empowered to make choices that align with your values.
Exactly. It also emphasizes the importance of gratitude.
Oh, yeah.
Taking the time to appreciate what you already have
Mm.
can really shift your focus away from what you think you're missing.
Yeah, it's like that saying, comparison is the thief of joy, right?
Exactly. When we're constantly comparing ourselves to other people, it's easy to feel like we're not enough or like you're falling behind.
Yeah. And that's a recipe for disaster when it comes to your finances, for sure.
The book also emphasizes that financial success is a journey. It's not a destination.
Oh, that's good.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Yeah, I think that's a really important message because a lot of people get discouraged when they feel like they're not doing enough or they're not moving fast enough.
Right. And it's easy to fall into that trap of comparing yourself, especially, in the age of social media where everybody's, showcasing their perfect life.
Right. Everybody's a millionaire on Instagram.
Exactly. But this book encourages a more realistic and sustainable approach.
Okay, good.
It emphasizes patience and consistency, reminding us that those small, consistent actions over time can lead to some really significant results.
Yeah, it's like anything else, right? Like building a muscle, you don't get six-pack abs overnight. It takes time and effort,
Exactly. And there are going to be setbacks along the way. It's inevitable.
right? Life happens.
The key is to view those setbacks as opportunities for learning and growth rather than reasons to just give up.
Okay, so it's about developing that financial resilience,
Right.
being able to bounce back from those challenges and stay committed to your goals.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do this alone.
Oh, yeah.
The book actually encourages people to seek out guidance and support.
So whether that's talking to a financial advisor, joining online communities, or even just having open conversations with friends and family about money, there's a lot of support out there.
Yeah, for sure. Breaking down those taboos around money can make a huge difference.
Mm.
It allows us to learn from each other and support each other along the way.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so we've got the blueprint. We're working on our mindset. We know that there's support available, but I think the most important question now is what's the first step? What can our listeners do today to start building their own dollar blueprint?
That's a great question, and it really depends on where they are in their journey.
Okay.
For some people, it might be something as simple as just tracking their expenses for a week,
Okay.
just to get a sense of where their money's actually going. Others might be ready to set up an automatic savings transfer or explore those beginner-friendly investment options that we talked about.
Yeah, for sure.
But the key is to choose one action that feels doable
Right.
and motivating, something that creates a sense of momentum. Even a small step can make a big difference.
Exactly. And remember, financial freedom, it's not about some overnight transformation. It's about those consistent efforts over time.
Exactly. And as you start to see those small wins, it's going to fuel your motivation to keep going.
Yeah, love that. Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the dollar blueprint. Hopefully, you're feeling empowered to take control of your finances and create that financial future you deserve.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Remember, it's your journey, and we're cheering you on every step of the way. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep building your dollar blueprint.